You looked like you were deep in thought there.
Yeah, I am. I am really racking my brain to figure out what that Mario game was. It was on Super Nintendo, and you could make songs by creating notes that were like Yoshi noises and mushroom noises and hitting the coin
What
box.
noise does a mushroom make?
There's no way.
Do you remember?
There's no way.
Do you remember the sound?
Yeah, I can picture it, but I cannot.
How do you picture a sound?
Yeah, that's a good question. The mind works in mysterious ways.
Mario mushroom sound.
Yeah, just you would actually compose songs.
Are you ready?
Yeah, what's the name of the game though?
Is that the mushroom sound?
That's like I think that's the 1-up. No, that's when you hit the mushroom and you grow.
Yeah.
From Little Mario to Big Mario.
What other mushroom? Like when you stomp it out?
Yeah. Google mushroom or Google Mario Composer game. What's the name of that game?
Pipe down, would you? Listen to this one.
Okay. That wasn't in there.
That's not it?
No. All of these sounds are so good though.
Mushroom Stomp remix.
Okay.
This is a remix.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. That's a good beat.
Are these the sounds you're after? No, we haven't run into one.
Look up SNES Mario game composer. Try that.
I love that sound.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm doing this. Oh, this guy has the real game.
Yeah. That's what I want to hear. And I want to know.
Hello, how's it going? Last week we tried to make music on the snares with the Super MIDI pack. Super MIDI pack.
Does that sound right?
MIDI pack.
No.
And yeah, because the
This guy's weird.
There's a mouse.
Yeah.
Is this it?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
What's the name of the game?
Oh,
Mario
click on
Paint.
Yeah.
Mario Paint, that's
no,
right.
Clicking on Mario. Here we go.
Mario Paint.
First, I want to see what the actual pitch knob that I put in last week does
Yeah.
to the sound.
How did we do this? How did we get off on this
This
track?
is a
Listen.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Did you have...
No, go.
I was just hoping for that mushroom sound. I thought it'd be easier
Oh.
to find.
Yeah. And all I wanted was the name of the game. So we
Mario
we could-
Paint.
Yeah, Mario Paint. So now
Okay.
we can go.
Now everybody knows. Mario Paint. I don't remember this game.
You
Doesn't
didn't
matter.
play this game?
We do have a matter of something to take care of.
Oh, what's that?
To address in as little detail as possible.
Okay.
The incident. The helicopter incident.
My God.
So we had a couple print heads ask, what was the fun fact? What was the fact, or what was the thing?
From two episodes ago.
No, 1 episode ago.
Okay.
It's how we started the last episode
Yeah.
and ultimately never started it.
Mm-hmm.
So the grim fact was Tyler proceeded to tell me a story that was probably 5 minutes long, and it just went down this really dark trail, and ultimately like children died. So I'm going to get... Why are you mad about it?
We don't have to bring this up.
Well, we don't have to say anything else. But I want people to know. They need to know the little nugget. That's as good of a nugget as I can give. I'm not going to give details. Don't worry, I won't fully incriminate you.
It was the making of the Twilight Zone movie. Okay.
Why did you have to do this? Now you're going to do it? You're going to...
You can't lead with the worst part and just say, "Oh, he told a story."
That's all people need for the nugget. That's all people needed. Now here you are. Now you're gonna redo it.
No, I think it would have been better.
Now we're gonna have to cut this and start over
if you
again.
just said, he told the story of the making of the Twilight Zone movie, and then let people figure out how it ended on their own, instead of just leading with, he told a story about this tragedy, blah 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 blah.
I thought that was a great way to put it.
All right. Agree to disagree.
Well, it's over. Okay, that's the nugget. If you want to look it up, now you have some information thanks to Tyler. With my little nugget, that would have been enough.
Okay.
I think it would have satisfied people's curiosities.
Some things could have gone unsaid. But let's
Okay.
go. Let's get started.
I want to talk about there were some things that happened in the news. We haven't actually had anything like really big to talk about this summer. And I wonder if anyone gets their news, 3D printing news, exclusively from us.
If they do, they're way behind in the news cycle.
They're a couple. Well, I mean,
at least a week behind.
What decisions are you going to make? Are you unless you're in stonks?
I encourage people to make no decisions based on our discussions.
That's good. Yeah, good advice. Good advice. Sound advice.
But before we jump into the news, I want to say I was in Toronto yesterday. I
cannot believe they let you in.
I can't either. But they did, at least into a little piece of Canada. Mm-hmm. And, I think some of the things that I've said about Canada have been exaggerated on your end. And
on my end?
And played up for the podcast.
Okay.
But I will say that Canada, at least Toronto, is a nice place. Very cool.
Yeah. It's the New York City of Canada.
I know. That's how I felt when I was there.
It's a bustling metropolis.
It's so clean, though. All of Canada, or all of Toronto, so clean. We did see one company that was out of business as we were driving towards the...
Why is that funny? Why is that funny? That's not cool.
Well, we're driving...
You see how he gets this reputation? This is why. Okay, sorry.
We're driving downtown towards the Royal Ontario Museum, which is an amazing museum. And it's a very walkable area, like Park City, like Main Street, Park City. Mm-hmm. And there's all of these different storefronts. And only one looks like it's out of business. And there's like some spray paint on the front. And it's a 3D printing service company.
Oh.
It was like big sign, 3D print and 3D scan here. And then in the lettering, it says like, we do rigid opaque materials. We do clear translucent materials. We do hard and soft photopolymers.
So you think they had Stratasys equipment?
Oh, for sure they did. Because down in the bottom, they had like Objet, Stratasys, Proto
and they
3000.
didn't make it.
They didn't make it. That's tough. Printing.
What does that say about? Tough. What does that say? Well, yeah, service bureaus are tough,
especially if you're downtown Toronto. I mean, real estate is expensive.
Oh, I thought you were going to go another route with that.
No, your overhead would be fairly high. You're in a little space in downtown Toronto. Yeah, you're not doing yourself any favors in terms of cost of doing business. But also, you have to have market fit. Like, this is over the past 10 years, we've had a lot of people come and say, hey, I want to print parts as a business. And 10 years ago, it was a much more approachable business plan, less competitive, but it's become more and more competitive over the years. And so if you don't have some sort of niche or specific industry you're serving, or, like something you can specialize in, you're going to have a hard road ahead of you.
Yeah. What stands out to me when you say what was advertised on the storefront, like scan and print here.
Yeah.
You're attracting the exact type of customer that sucks you dry.
Yes.
They're the people who don't have CAD files. They don't have any ability to create 3D objects and produce a file.
Right.
Sorry, I just said that, but like they just don't have any familiarity with what it takes to actually get something that's printable.
You actually make an excellent point. That's their marketing. I didn't even see a company name there. They just had 3D scan and 3D print here. And then they had like some qualitative descriptions of the materials. There was no discussion of what you actually do. Like, what's the application? What's the draw? And so the only person you're attracting is the nerd that...
Whoa.
That
not only a nerd, a Canadian nerd.
Where on the scale of nerds are Canadian nerds?
I don't know. You tell me. You had all these assumptions of Canadians before you actually went there.
That's true.
What were the Canadian people like?
Oh, they were wonderful.
Were they?
Uh-huh.
Just like everyone else?
Toronto,
but nicer.
Toronto was very friendly, very diverse. Like the multiculturalism in Toronto it rivaled Dubai in my mind when I visited Dubai. Just amazing, and everyone was so friendly.
Well, how about that? It's a good thing they had never heard our podcast because they might not have been so friendly.
Yeah. So I think I'll get an opportunity to visit more of Canada. We have a customer now up above the Arctic Circle.
We have a customer.
Yeah. Above the Arctic Circle.
And how the heck and what the heck are they doing?
So I can't divulge too much, but let's just say that they're in the business of digitizing.
That sounds fun. Digify.
Yeah, digify
yourself.
Digitizing artifacts.
Why don't you just go digify yourself, Tyler? Digitizing artifacts?
Digified. Yeah, digitizing artifacts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of digitizing yourself,
yeah,
you sent me a news article this week about Hasbro.
Hasbro, yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Sure. So, kind of rolling off the topic that we were just talking about, where printing parts as a service is becoming more and more challenging. You know, a component of that is, of course, the niche, and another component of that is the competition. And now you have this idea of larger OEMs getting into the business. So Hasbro is coming out later this year with what they're calling what was it? A selfie scan, something like that. Yeah.
Is that what it was?
You can use their app to take a photo or series of photos of your face, and it uses photogrammetry to create a color model of your face. You submit that, and for $60, you can 3D print an selfie series. You can 3D print an action figure with your likeness. Now,
only in the face.
Only in the face, yeah. Because, you want an action figure body.
Yeah. That's the point.
Yeah.
And so you could have you could be one of the Ghostbusters. I could be a Power Ranger.
I would be a Power Ranger.
That's what you would be.
Yeah. You didn't watch Power Rangers.
No. I remember kids at recess being like, I'm the white Power Ranger and I'm the red one.
Everyone wanted to be a different Power Ranger, based on
their superpowers or their vehicles or whatever.
Yeah. It was more of like their what they would morph into or whatever. I don't remember much.
Power Morphin. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's morphin time. Morphin time. And I remember I had a brother that's about the same age as me. And we actually did karate and things like that. He always wanted to be the Red Ranger, and I always wanted to be either the Green or White Ranger, which was the same person. It just over time
he morphed.
He changed colors. I don't remember the exact narrative around that. But the Green Ranger, White Ranger.
That's nice. That's nice for you. I don't know what plastic person I'd be. I have no idea.
What plastic person? So
G.I. Joe?
It has to be within the
Ghostbusters?
Yeah, G.I. Joe is in the Hasbro IP.
Ghostbusters is.
Yeah.
Power Rangers and others, but I don't know who else.
Yeah. So
Toy Story?
No.
None of those guys?
No. Think about the workflow though.
I couldn't be a Buzz Lightyear?
No. You can't. So they're using a Formlabs printer, printers.
Yes.
To create the heads. And they released a video where they talk about having to come up with different resins to be able to match skin tones. They are full color models. So
I think they're painted.
The facial features must be painted.
That's because I had the same curiosity. I watched the video and I'm like, if these are Formlabs, they're homogeneous. Single color, single material. And they must be painted.
They're printing the hair separate from the head.
Yep.
And they must be painting, which is, man, that's got to be labor intensive unless they somehow.
I mean, in the video,
you ever see the Simpsons episode where she takes the makeup shotgun and shoots her face and it just.
And now you're ready for a night on the town.
Homer.
no,
Maybe they got something like that going where it's just like a spray.
that would be a miracle. Look at this.
Yeah.
See there how
Pretty soft.
soft.
Yeah. Soft.
The edges are soft on there. There's not a good color differentiation from the whites of their eyes and the colors of their pupils and their lip colors.
At that scale, those heads are probably about the size of your thumb.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, and we can print full color in PolyJet, but I don't think you would do much better on the color fidelity on PolyJet prints of that size.
And
that's a challenging.
Yeah, the size.
Yeah.
What else this got me thinking of is just kind of like where 3D printing is today, because these blurry faces made me think of like the N64 days. Like, remember playing like Madden? Like the character that you could tell, you're playing with Tom Brady or whatever because he's got a 12 on his back and it says Brady, but then you see his face and you're like, that looks like a ghost.
Yeah.
Like it's just a blob with a couple of dark spots for eyes and a mouth. And this made me think of that. Like, this is where color 3D printing, I think, is today. We're a little further than that. But if I were to make a likeness to that, I can't wait till the quote unquote graphics get better.
I think that's pretty accurate. You would take like Madden 98 or Madden 2000 and somewhere in that era where it looks okay and passable, especially on the custom characters.
But it's not like it is today.
Yeah. Today it's unreal.
It almost looks like an actual game.
It almost looks like real life.
Yeah. And they have the same mannerisms and all that. But I feel like we're there with color 3D printing. Like with certain things in color 3D printing, it's perfect. It's a perfect match. Near perfect.
Yeah. Perfect is a very strong word. It's excellent.
It's almost indistinguishable with some things.
Yeah.
Now, the characteristics of said things need to align with the printer's strengths, but like faces like this, I can imagine us printing these and them not looking as good. Now, you scale that up a little bit.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it looks a lot better.
If you have a little bit more real estate.
Well,
these would be, if you're a kid, I think these would totally pass off. You'd be so stoked to get this.
I guess. I mean, it's... I think this article said something about the value of a 6-inch action figure with your face on it. And I'm thinking, wouldn't the value go down for most people?
For sure. Probably.
Like, I don't want one of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the value goes up only for the person.
If you do a children's
who
head,
it mimics.
Do you end up with like a kid's head on an adult body?
Yes. Totally.
Won't that look weird?
That would look funny. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Because kids have kind of a more round head. Like the proportions aren't fully right yet. That's kind of funny. Anyway, so that's cool. If you want to look into that, it's Hasbro. Yeah. And I guess their trademark is called the selfie.
Yeah.
What was it again?
I wonder what
selfie series.
I wonder what they do with all of that digital data from the head scans.
Who knows?
It's valuable.
I mean, think about Snapchat. They're doing the same thing. Who owns Hasbro? What's the country of origin on that? Ooh.
Do you know?
I don't. But this could be some conspiracy stuff.
I have it in my head that it's like a Turkish company, but I don't know.
I'm not.
It's been around for so long.
It's better for us to just approach this one from a place of not knowing.
Wikipedia has.
I'm not going to do it.
It is a multi-billion-dollar company.
Oh, for sure.
It's massive.
Yeah, I'm not going to go there. There was another news article. I'm going to push past this. Vulcan Forms.
Yeah.
You sent me a link, and it's funny because we talked about the New York Times last time. I ran out of my free credits, so I actually didn't get to look this one up. Tell me about
that's
it.
too
You're going to
bad.
have to carry this one.
That really is too bad that you're just allowing yourself to get locked out of.
I'm not going to pay $1 a
important
week.
information.
I'm not going to pay $1 a week for
How
this
often
stuff.
do we get an article in the New York Times specifically about 3D printing?
It seems like that's the one that pops up most for me.
Really?
But that has to do with like and I don't know where to get my news.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of click all over the place, and I'm lazy. I'm a lazy Googler. So I'll Google something, and I'm first 3 links. That's kind of where I live.
Yeah.
And if it happens to suggest, this is the bummer about it. If it suggests the New York Times, now it's going to suggest that as a first option the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And they're going to think, oh, this guy loves the New York Times. And I don't really care. You know what I mean?
I mean, I was going to say that we don't often get a high profile article in something like the New York Times. I mean, most of the times
lately. Enough for me to run out of credits because I'm not looking anything else up.
Yeah, but most articles are from tech blogs and other
Business Wire.
Yeah, something like that. Engadget. But New York Times, yeah, so they did a profile on Vulcan Forms. Vulcan Forms was a company that formed in 2015, and it was co-founded by one of the co-founders was John Hart, who was a co-founder of Desktop Metal. He's an MIT professor that does research in additive. And that's actually right around the same time. So he had both of these things going on at the same time. And I don't know a lot, but the article revealed that they had been fundraising for the last few years and building up a new laser-based powder metal technology for metals. But they are taking a little bit different approach than, I would say, the more conventional approach of developing a technology and then selling the machines. They are developing the technology, installing them in a facility that they own and operate, complementing them with other manufacturing tools, metrology tools, and basically offering part production as a service. So it is like a very seemingly well organized service bureau and turnkey provider of parts. But they didn't go into it just like, hey, we're going to buy these machines and we're going to put them next to these machines. They're developing and develop their own technology. So
what's different about it?
I don't know exactly. I haven't been able to find all that much info, but what I have gathered is that
the Vulcan 1 facility. Sorry, keep going on.
What I've gathered, it is a laser-based powder bed fusion system with multiple lasers operating on a gantry system and firing multiple high-powered lasers all at the same time to increase the throughput of the metal printers. So in a sense, we've seen this in some scale, but what the actual machine looks like, I don't know. But you have EOS has a 4 laser machine, SLM has a 12 laser machine, Velo has an 8 laser machine. This sounds like it could have like up to 50 lasers on it. So in a similar vein to the area printing that we've talked about.
This is, I'm going to have to read more about this. Not that you're not providing enough information, but this is interesting. So they have their own technology, but it sounds like they also have a facility that they plan to do a lot of the work there.
Yeah.
So are you printing and then sending your parts to them to center?
You are basically, you're searching, their customers would be people who are looking to go into production in parts, and they're trying to find the same way you would shop for a foundry or you'd shop for any other contract manufacturer. These guys are just highlighting their 3D printing capability as part of their contract manufacturing offering.
So is this like a Proto Labs situation?
Yeah, kinda. Yeah, I would say very similar to that, but with the added aspect that they're using a technology that's unique to them and exclusive to them. And from the very beginning, centered around digital workflow, getting digitized.
Digital first production technologies.
Yeah. So it's a different approach, but over the years, they've raised about $355 million was the number.
Yeah, that's the number.
The
biggest
you're
showing
chunk,
off that memory of yours.
Hey, it's a single number. But the biggest chunk of that was in their last series, and that last series was like 250 million. I think that was in 2021, I believe. So fairly recent.
They're valued over $1 billion.
Based on those rounds of funding.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. There was another exciting acquisition that happened.
Yeah, this week.
Yeah. And this one I actually have some thoughts about, and I haven't read a single article.
Okay.
But I have thoughts.
Okay. Thoughts are a very dangerous thing to have.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you broadcast them.
Wheeled carefully.
Yeah. So Markforged acquired Digital Metal, which is my understanding that Digital Metal has similar technology. It's powder metal. Binder jetting. Which we know requires some sintering.
Yep.
Some shrinkage.
Yep.
But it's more geared toward production.
Yeah.
Far better than like the Markforged Metal X, for example, which was like an FDM style metal printing procedure. And my thoughts are this.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a
Hot
question. Take. No, this is not a hot take. Could this signify, along with desktop metal, because it's trending, it seems like a trend. Desktop metal had their FDM style metal printing, not super successful. Metal X, I know that there's people out there that like it and that own it, and I know that there are people out there that don't. I can understand why. Could this be Markforged thrown in the towel on FDM style metal printing? Am I putting you in a tight spot?
No, because I don't think that's the case.
You don't?
No, I don't think that's the case.
What do you think it is?
I think
what is the case, Tyler?
It's filling out the portfolio. The filament metal, which we have a whole episode on, that goes back to like episode 10 or something like that. If you want to know more of our thoughts on the filament metal, but it serves a different application and it serves a different customer than the binder jetting.
So this is more of a trend toward production than it is a trend away from a certain technology.
Yeah. It's not an insignificant investment, but on the grand scheme of things, the deal was valued at about 40 million. And that was like 32 million cash, give or take, and then some Markforged stock for the remainder. So it's not a massive deal. Digital Metal wasn't a huge company. They've been around for almost 20 years as a company. And they were one of the original players in binder jetting along with X1. And they played in that space for quite a while, and yet still haven't grown to be, a massive company. And we've talked about this immense pressure towards more production-oriented metal printing. We see it with DM. Now, DM, at least from the time that they commercialized, they were talking about both offerings, filament and binder jetting. So for them, their production systems and their shop systems were not really a pivot or a move away from filament metal. They knew from the very beginning that they were going to target the two. Markforged unveiled their filament metal system essentially right at the same time as DM. Within like a month, I think they beat out DM, but essentially at the same time. And they didn't have any production oriented solution. So that's a play to they're taking on other players. Like they are trying to be competitive with Stratasys, 3D Systems, Desktop Metal. Like they're growing their distribution channel, and that's a big part of what they have that Digital Metal didn't have. Is Markforged has a wide distribution network, worldwide, global distribution network, and Digital Metal really didn't have much presence. But here in the States, very little.
How much pressure do you think this applies to companies like Stratasys that are big players in the polymer space, but not so much the metal?
I don't really think that it adds pressure there. As of today, Stratasys is not in the metal market. So whatever's happening on the metal side doesn't directly impact them. And it's not going to be all that disruptive either. It could grow into something more than what it is now, but it's not a huge thing right now.
What could grow into something?
Like that the binder jetting market share in terms of number of machines sold in the North American market. Binder jetting is a fairly low percentage. I wouldn't be surprised if it was single digit percentage. I don't have the numbers in front of me, and you'd have to look at something like the latest Wohlers report or something like that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was a single digit percentage in terms of units sold.
So it's not as significant as like Stratasys would. Stratasys wouldn't make a move unless it were more significant.
Well, I don't know what they would do, but what I'm saying is it really doesn't. I don't think it.
We're speculating here.
Yeah, we're definitely speculating. All of these companies are competitive and they're all making moves. This particular move, I wouldn't see it as like immediately impactful, but what I'm saying is it could grow into something that's much more impactful. If and when binder jetting is some of the challenges are overcome and you can actually go out and find 7, 8, 9-figure contracts, then suddenly you're generating a lot of revenue and a healthy revenue. And that could become very impactful to other parts of the business, right? You could potentially have these 8, 9-figure contracts that are funding R&D into other spaces. So if you don't have any technology in the portfolio that even has that potential, then you could see that maybe as a risk. But Stratasys does. It's just in the polymer side.
Well, all these companies want people to continue buying. They want to own their print labs, essentially, from what I can tell. And sales, here's an example. My little brother called me yesterday. He's doing some sales currently, and he's calling me for friends' numbers. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of like, it's the worst scenario to be in.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I love you, you're my brother, but I'm not giving up my contacts because they're my friends.
Yeah.
And I don't want you selling to my friends because it implicates me. And it's hard for him to like wrap his head around, like, don't you care? Don't you think I'm a good salesman? Don't you think like they need what I have?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I think you're a great salesman. And I think they might need what you have, but I'm not giving you the contacts. Mm-hmm. Plus, I haven't heard from you forever.
Yeah.
And I've heard from you with more frequency lately because you're trying to get these numbers. Anyway, point being, it's the contacts that matter.
That's
in
true.
Sales. And so if you are in the polymer space, and you have a pulse on that company, you have a heartbeat, you know what they're doing with polymer, you know that they may have metal interest or already own some metal systems. Now, wouldn't it be nice to just say, hey, if you guys are interested in this technology, let us know.
Sure.
Because you've already got the contact.
Sure.
So it's a way to capture some more revenue.
Definitely. Interesting sales insight there, Tate.
Well, whatever.
You're totally right. And but you know, this
That's
is
so demeaning. Why do I do this show? Why do I do this? Why do I put myself in a situation? It's very vulnerable. It's a vulnerable position to be in here across from one of the greats.
No, I was actually being truthful like that. That is an excellent insight. And I hadn't really thought about that, the context. So I'm commending you for your sales acumen.
Yeah, sure.
You have to have the resources to overcome a lot of the challenges, I think, with the existing challenges with that technology, and back it up and also support.
What's more challenging than what they already have?
Well, it's a higher initial capital investment expenditure, and with a higher expenditure on the customer side, higher expectations in terms of service. A lot of companies want to get in. A lot of additive companies want to get into this.
That's
production
true.
Scenario.
But think about it from the perspective of like, and I've heard friends who, whether they're photographers or whatever, it's the people who spend a couple $100 that it's like, these are my worst customers, versus the people who spend 50 grand or whatever. They're just like, hey, can you have this done? And they lay off and the job gets done. But it's the ones who make the minimal investment. I do think with like filament metals, you're totally pandering to those people who are like spending every last penny because they want metal so bad and now it's within reach and they're like, I need that.
Yeah.
It's not these large companies that are like, oh yeah, we'll take a look down here. We'll race you to the bottom and we'll purchase this as an initial investment into metal. It's the other way around.
There's definitely an element to that, but on the flip side, you have, let's just call it a $500,000 machine that's on service contract, and it's down and it's 3 a.m. in the morning, and they will call you, which is a different pressure
for sure
to support. Because you have that contract there, and there is this expectation and agreement that, we're going to make sure that you're up and running and you're generating revenue. So they're maybe less loud, but when they do come to you, the pressure and the expectation to follow up is much higher.
All right. I like that. Well, do you have any other news things? Today's mostly a news catch-up day, by the way. It's kind of turned into that. Yeah, we were
searching for a theme amongst those news articles, and we decided that they're all Boston-based. They're all Boston-based
That's
companies.
The theme.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Boston,
it's geographical.
Yeah, Boston continues to be, additive powerhouse area of the country.
Speaking of geography, Australia climbed into the lead on our listenership outside of the United States.
Really?
The UK was number one, and then Canada is right there with them. So thanks to those listeners.
Nice.
We appreciate you. We appreciate everyone.
That's cool.
But we love. I like seeing the race for who's listening and where.
I'd love to hear more from international listeners, just to get a better understanding of why do they listen, because we have a lot of US centric topics.
Shoot us an email. And actually, on that same topic, this is totally not 3D printing related. Maybe it could be, but Top Gun Maverick just came out, right? Very patriotic, very I
haven't seen it.
Oh, you haven't?
Mm-mm.
Okay. It's a fun movie, but this is very American of me, and I'll admit it right now. But these patriotic movies, I've never really taken a lot of time to think, how does someone from another country enjoy this? Do they enjoy it? And do they kind of just they don't worry about the country of origin or the patriotism for that country, or do they empathize with it and kind of roll with it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because in these movies, there are other countries that are being subtly attacked, if not actually attacked in the movies.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, these big blockbuster movies, there are a lot of people involved in the scripts and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they are sold on a global market. So they take that into account for sure. Like you've seen stories of characters and storylines being added or changed to appeal more to certain markets.
Yeah.
You know, I so like I said, I haven't seen the movie, but I read an article where it was saying that at least this reviewer went in thinking it would be a lot more patriotic, borderline propaganda-ish, and that it was way less so, that it was more action oriented and just kind of less overt.
I've heard both on this. I enjoyed the movie, but yeah, give us some feedback on how you feel about the podcast. We obviously know Tyler used to not like Canadians. Evidently he does now. But we still have Canadian support.
That's
we appreciate
that's an exaggeration. Total fabrication, actually.
He hates it.
Go back into the archives.
Yes, please do. Please do, and find out for yourselves. Not sure all of it got recorded, but there's at least a couple little tidbits for you to catch on to there. Anyway, thanks for listening wherever you're at and through whatever app. Looks like most people subscribe through Apple Podcasts. It kind of bounces back and forth between Spotify and Apple.
That is cool.
I have a YouTube of the day.
All right.
This is not brought to you by Juicy Filaments today. There will be no Juicy Filament ad. All right. I'm going to play the first part of this YouTube video.
Okay.
It's not even so much the YouTube channel that I'm recommending today. It's the content. And so I want you to look at this thing because it's so awesome. I'm going to tilt my screen down so you can see an upside down version of it.
Right. 130 mile an hour average over the finish. So this is the weapon that we're looking at now. This reminds me more of something like you shoot from a gun or from a cannon rather than actually drive.
But look at this. This is Max Chilton now, and this is the little machine that is so rapid. It was second yesterday.
3.6 over the first 100 meters, 132 miles an hour through the
Is this
first
Formula
meter,
E?
Can you tell how fast this thing is just by looking at it?
This thing is
No.
far and away the quickest. It's a weapon, 29.9 at intermediate 2. What are we going to have?
Have you heard of the Goodwood Festival?
What a big...
No.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Do you see that cloud of dust coming out the back?
Yep.
It's the only car that does that. Now, okay, so the channel that this is on is called Goodwood Road and Racing. So it's the official channel for the Goodwood Festival, I think. And this is just kind of like a gathering that happens annually. And lots of old classic cars go race, some vintage stuff. Travis Pastrana raced this vintage Subaru wagon.
Yeah.
And it had air brakes on it, like an airplane does. So
Why?
every time it hits the brakes, just to help it stop into corners.
Oh, wow.
More downforce, more stopping power. And his car was actually pretty close to this speed. But this year was kind of unique because there were a handful of electric cars that did pretty well, this being one of them. Guaranteed there's some 3D printed stuff that happened in the development of most of these cars. But this is a fan car. Have you ever heard of a fan car?
No.
So the website for this car is mcmurdy.com, and the car is the Spearling. And what it is it has a fan that creates a low pressure volume underneath the car. So it's literally getting pulled to the ground by this low pressure area. and it spits the exhaust, if that's what you could call it. So it's pulling air from the bottom, pulling the car down, and it shoots that air out the back. So it's literally a vacuum hauling butt down the track. And that's why you're seeing the dust, because it's pulling up little rocks, it's pulling up road debris, everything that's on the road, and it's spitting it out the back. And the thing, it's incredibly fast. Like, watch the top 10. If you get a chance, just YouTube like the Goodwood Festival of Speed top 10 participants or whatever. And it'll show this race. It's just a single track time trial. All the fast cars are under a minute. And it's just between hay bales and the crowds there watching. I would love to go to this, but this fan car is so cool. The fact that it creates its downforce through vacuum.
Yeah, it's an active element. So there's energy consumption to create that downforce. Whereas, every other application of downforce is all passive. It's through airfoils on the front and rears. And
it creates a ton of drag. Downforce typically is one of those things where it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. You either create lots of downforce and lots of drag, or you have a nice slipstream, a really aerodynamic product that doesn't create as much downforce. This gives you the ability to have a ton of aerodynamics built into the car and still get your downforce.
Yeah.
It says,
but it's not
I
free,
think,
because you have to generate
with power.
You have to have the power.
Sure. But it's not at the sake of speed. So traditionally, you either have, like I said, you create drag with the downforce. With Travis Pastrana's car, he's creating some downforce and air brake through some hydraulics, I would imagine, to bump those things up. But it's so cool. I think it said somewhere that this creates like 2,000 pounds of downforce.
That's significant.
So it's almost enough.
At any speed?
At any speed.
Wow.
So it's almost enough that this thing could drive upside down.
That's wild.
Isn't that something?
That's crazy.
And what else is cool is it creates that downforce, at a range of speed, right? Versus downforce with wings and airfoils. It's
speed dependent.
Yeah, it's more progressive or aggressive depending on how fast you go. The faster you go, the more drag, but the more downforce, the slower you're going. So at low speed cornering, which at Goodwood is mostly low speed, you can't take advantage of having these spoilers and stuff because you're not going fast enough to really generate downforce. Cool. It's so cool. And when you watch that top 10, you'll see how incredibly fast this is compared to everything else. Like, electric cars are so cool.
Flip it in reverse and take off.
Oh my god!
Just hover away.
Why do you do that? Why do you do that? Why do you ruin my good time, man?
I think it's cool.
It's really cool.
I'll have to look that up. What's it called?
McMurdy fan car.
Fan car.
Yeah, if you just Google or YouTube McMurdy fan car, it's called the Spearling is the name of the car. And it's a really cool looking car. Also, it could be a production vehicle here in the future. I watched another video that said that it may be road legal. And so this will be something that you may see out on the road.
What would drive someone to buy that vehicle for like an everyday? Or I guess you'd take it to the track.
I mean, it's very attractive. Look at that side profile.
Yeah, it is. It's a great looking car. That side profile looks a lot like a GTR.
No.
Yeah, it does.
A GTR is like more sedan-y. This is more of a coupe style, almost like Toyota 2000 GT-esque, or more modern example that more people are familiar with, maybe like a Nissan Z car.
No.
It has the look of a front engine, rear wheel drive sports car, 2-seater.
Yeah, like a GTR.
A GTR is all wheel drive, and it definitely looks more like a sedan. I'm not going to get into this argument with you. Tyler obviously can't distinguish the difference between
I'm also looking at
styles.
it upside down.
Yeah, that's true. But shape, anyway.
Yeah.
That's my YouTube of the day. I actually should put out a challenge to people.
Okay. Do it.
Find me some additive parts in that. If anyone's like a car geek at all out there, which there's got to be a couple, and you look into that car a little bit more and happen to find an additively produced part, hit me up, send us an email, and we'll shout it out.
Cool.
On the next episode.
Right on. I don't have a YouTube.
Not bringing anything.
I'm not
bringing anything today.
No. The YouTube I've been watching lately has absolutely zero modern technology in it. It's a channel. It's a channel called Country Life Vlog.
Why are you doing this, dude?
My wife got me hooked on it. It's a silent, like almost ASMR type channel of these people that live in rural Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
And
they're making cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
In this.
It's fascinating. They have almost 1 billion views.
Yeah,
on their
I
channel.
see that. I mean, like this one video, keeping strawberries without boiling and freezing for the winter.
Yeah.
Has 6.1 million views. I mean, that's technology.
They probably,
right?
Yeah, that's why I said modern
I can't keep a strawberry alive for a week.
They use technology, but it's nothing close to modern technology.
That's cool.
They've got to be the most popular people in all of Azerbaijan.
I'm sure.
Don't you think?
I guarantee it.
I wonder if that like YouTube revenue, it's got to be based in US dollars, right?
Yeah.
They're probably making bank.
Yeah, they've got their food storage for life.
Do you think they have some crazy mansion on just outside of view? They've got like this old,
they do all the video
400-year-old
castle.
Farm. No, farm.
Oh yeah.
But then
it's beautiful. Look at that.
Oh,
it looks like something out of
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. It's like one of the Hobbit homes.
Yeah.
It's in the Shire.
It's amazing.
It's very green.
But
and lush.
If you're getting,
how did we get on this? How did your wife said
she likes this stuff.
Suggested this to you?
She likes this stuff. Yeah.
Very cool. I like it. Definitely not additively related.
It's natural additive manufacturing.
But most of our YouTubes are a reach anyway.
Yeah.
There's definitely additive in there, like with the RC test flights.
I make no effort to do YouTube of the day that's related to the theme of this.
It's
show.
just the theme of your life.
Yeah.
It's people getting to know you a little bit better.
Yeah. I share what I'm watching.
Yeah, I like that. A
lot of it's related to printing, but a lot of it's not.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all we have today.
Yeah, that's it.
Pretty light episode, a little bit of news, and happy summer to everybody.
Summer. Guess that's it. See you next time.